Hi folks, it's 10 to 2 p.m. on the 6th, here we go, 6th again, on the 6th of June 2020. Oh dear. I was just watching something, a program where these people had to go into a reactor and fix it before everything blew and destroyed the whole planet. And of course, there was a person who asked them to go in there to fix it, didn't realise the danger, but kept them in there, not telling them the danger. Poof. But there's the $20 billion question. If you were that person, if you were the person that had to send people into a reactor, into a situation where it was dangerous, and then while they were in there, you realise it's not just dangerous, this is fatal. If they stay in there any longer, it's fatal. But if you put them out, everyone dies. If you leave them in, they die. That's a difficult one, isn't it, really? That's one of those situations where, you're killing people. The fact that you're killing people to save other people isn't going to necessarily matter. It matters to everyone else. But to you, wouldn't necessarily matter, because those people that you left in there not telling them the truth of the danger, they're dead. You could have given them a choice, and maybe they would have stayed in themselves. Therefore, it would have been their choice to die, to save the people. You didn't give them that choice because you were afraid they would run out of the area. They would say, no way, shape or form, I'm coming out now. I'm not going to die for this. Find someone else. So you left them in there. Again, at that moment of deciding, what do? Do you leave them in? Do you bring them out? Do you tell them? Do you not tell them? Do you lie to them? Say it's nothing serious? It's difficult, isn't it, really? I mean, we had that with Chernobyl. Yeah, the men were sent in there to try and deal with the reactor, to try and stop it from getting so much worse. Of course, potentially, those men were going to die. Potentially. They were certainly going to get infected with radiation, possibly to the point where it would kill them very, very soon. But as the people in charge of dealing with that situation, you've got to do something. We haven't got robots that you can send into a situation like that. Yeah. Oh dear. What an incredible decision making that had to be. But that's what you call a real boss. When you look to see who is a good boss, that person is a good boss who can do that. They're looking at the bigger picture. They have to make a tough decision, and they make it. They don't cry away from it. They make it, and they live with it. I mean, that is, oof. That's the sort of situation that people would have to look at and say, could I do that? Could I do that? I myself have imagined the situation where, especially winterish sort of times, you get a frozen lake. My dogs run onto the lake. One of them falls through. What do? Because there's a danger. If I decide to try and get him out, I could drown. So I drown and that dog drowns. and the rest now, they're going to come and try and help or come and try to see what's going on. They fall in, they drown, right? So possibility is we all drown. Certainly it's quite likely where the ice is going to be so thin if a 16-kilogram dog falls through the ice, chances are an 80-kilogram person is going to certainly fall through the ice. You know? And if it's tough for the dog to, climb its way back out, how tough is it going to be for me to climb my way back out? I can probably get in there, get in the water and chuck the dog out to the point of safety, or certainly push the dog up. I can do that, but I'm not going to get out. Chances are, unless somebody else comes in and helps me to get out, I'm in. I'm dead. That's most likely would be the scenario. So what do I do? The awful thing would be you'd have to leave. You'd have to walk away. That would be the thing. Do I risk all, or do I just walk away? Terrible. Even with just regards to that situation, terrible, because I know, walking away, leaving one of my dogs struggling to get out and knowing it's going to drown alone. Oh, jeez. That's just, that's horrendous. We're doing that with people? Oh. Yeah. But again, you've got to look at the bigger picture. If you're able to see the bigger picture, then these are decisions that have to be made at that time. So if you as a boss can't make that decision, then you need to go. You need to go bye-bye. Bring in someone else who can do that job, who can make that decision. Because that decision has to be made. As if you've got a situation where you've got 2 or 3 people having to die, or hundreds of thousands of people dying, then you've got to just do the math. In the end, it's as simple as that. You just got to do the math. I mean, it's a horrible thing to have to do if you're in that situation, but you got to walk away from it. Now, generally speaking, I would say, having said you've got to walk away from it, if it's that sort of situation and you don't send the freeing to the point where they're going to die so that others live, that others will include you, so you won't walk away from it anyway. You won't, but you'll know that all the other people around you and around the area are going to die because of your decision. So instead of just 3 or 4, you've got 200,000 to 300,000 people dying now because of you. That's a far worse situation. I suppose the way to see it is, if you're dead, then you don't have to face the consequences of that, do you? But unless there's a hell. There's some tricky things. It really, really is. But I say, from a work-related situation, that is a tricky situation indeed. Really tricky. I wouldn't fancy being in that situation in any way, shape, or form. Thankfully, I haven't been, because I'm not sure what decision I'd make in that way. From a human point of view, I mean, if God was telling me quite strongly those people have to go in there, then I would just have to say, God's telling me it's down to Him. You go in there. This is what God is telling me to do. And I would hope it's the case that God would direct the people very, very strongly who are in that situation to make the right decision. Because that's tricky. Yeah. There's a lot of that. Oh, yeah, one other thing. With regards to George Floyd aftermath, you've got Reverend Ray Compton, I think is his name. What a moron this bloke is. I mean, what an evil, sick, twisted little man this man is. He's out there giving speeches saying that, oh, the American people for 400 years have had the white man with his knee on her neck. Excuse me? Excuse me? You're trying to pull that crap? You are seriously asking for trouble there, mate. Trying to pull that. That's sick, that's twisted. It's also a lie. And again, I've said before, and I'll probably have to say it another 500,000 times, the issue is worthlessness ism. Is what's behind it. It's got nothing to do with skin colour. Skin colour was just made as an excuse from both sides. From both sides. Right back until the point of William Wilberforce, I think that was what his name was, saying it's wrong to enslave black people because what his language was, I don't know whether he said black people, brown people, African people. Because of their skin colour, he would have known darn well that had nothing to do with it. He would have known it was a case of this worthlessness, that the rich and powerful saw these people as worthless. They just happened to be brown skinned. Yeah. They'd gone into other countries and done exactly the same there. Yeah, the British Empire had done that into other countries. I mean, you can name Australia was one. Again, it just so happens that the Aboriginal people in Australia are brown skinned. India, they're lighter brown skinned. There will be others. It's just, I mean, the way that the British Empire saw France was that they were worthless. The British Empire had no respect for France at all. Yeah, British kings and queens had no respect for them, and they would enslave the French people if they could. Obviously, it's just a case that after the Roman Empire, you had the British Empire, the French Empire, the Spanish Empire, were the main ones, and with those, they generally speaking, and even the Vikings, you had the Vikings, and they would go into nations and enslave people. They would catch people, murder people, rape people, pillage all the rest apparently. But they would do it against whites, pinky skinned people. Now, at that point in time, it was pinky skinned people that you would do it against. It's just that when you could go further, you wouldn't do it against your neighbours anymore. You would do it against people further afield, and generally speaking, further afield meant darker skin colour because you went to hotter climates. So it just happened to be that the skin colour was darker because it's hotter climates. They weren't targeting brown people. They didn't even know that brown people lived there. I probably didn't explain that very well, but yeah. Yeah, it's a case of worthlessness-ism has been an issue for, as I say, centuries. Yeah. That's the problem. And you can deal with that problem, or you can try to. I don't think you would deal with it, because this world is going to have that. That's going to be there. You look at the situation that you're in. It's been that way for thousands upon thousands of years. It ain't going to change. The rich and the powerful, they own the police, they own the army, they own pretty much every single politician. And I mean every single politician. Pretty much worldwide. Certainly the ones that are the most prominent, they're owned by the rich and powerful. So, sorry, poor people, you're not going to win that one. Whether your skin colour is pinkish or brown, you're not going to win it. You can identify it as what it is, but that's the problem. They won't. And they can't. And the reason why they can't is because it's an unwinnable situation. It's an unsolvable situation. Well, certainly, as I said about the police, you have some police officers are looking up, some are looking down. So some, see worth in the poor, but don't see any worth in the rich, and some see it the other way around. The ones that tend to make news are the ones that see worth only in the rich and powerful, see no worth in the poor. They seem to make the news. Well, of course they do, because of the fact that they're attacking the poor. And the ones who are actually videoing these attacks are the poor. The rich people, generally speaking, don't video attacks against themselves and hand it to the media. They hand it to their lawyers. And their lawyers sue the crap out of the police force and make a lot of money. Because what they care about, generally speaking, is money and power. And they want to exert a lot of power over the police. So if the police make a mistake and target them, then they choose to use power. They don't choose to use public opinion against the police. They don't care about public opinion. And of course it's going to happen. The police are going to target the rich and powerful because those police officers that value the poor, not the rich, are going to go after the rich at times because they're going to see everyone as equal. There's not many of them, but there are them, so therefore they are going to go after the rich when they do wrong. Well, of course, the rich aren't going to like that in any way, shape, or form. So they exert their power. They get the officer fired. They get the supervisor of the officer fired. They probably get the chief fired. Of course, as a poor person, you can't do any of that at all. You can barely get the officer fired. Only when there's absolute evidence on video can you do anything like that. Well, most other cases, the officers are suspended with full pay, full benefits, etc., 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 even when there is a degree of video evidence. The people in charge of the police don't like the public using any power to discipline them. Because the public don't have any power. Not really. What's happening right now, all the protests and stuff, and it's continuous, it's been continuous, that's about the maximum of what the public can do before the governments are going to seriously take action. So that's why you've got to label it as racist, because when you label it as racist, it's a simplish problem to fix, rather than the fact you've still got this bourgeoisie and proletariat. And that is the real problem. Of course. How are you going to fix that? That's not fixable. That's not even solvable in any degree where it may look better. I mean, that was the idea of creating the middle class, is that it looked as if that situation between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat had been solved. There was no class system anymore. You had a middle class. Well, what you got now? Middle class is basically gone. The last recession dealt with them. Now, who made money in the last recession? The rich and the powerful. They made more money because they were rescued by the governments. The poor people weren't. The poor people were shafted by the governments. This is worldwide. The poorer countries were shafted by certainly within Europe, by the European Union. There's a program called Devils that looked at something that actually happened at the time where Germany held a lot of the Irish debt. And because Ireland was in trouble, Ireland had to basically ruin their career to save the German banks. So Ireland had to destroy their own economy because the German banks had overbought Irish debt, and it was going to cause them to collapse. So, no, sorry, Ireland, you're going to collapse. This is it. The rich and powerful, you can't take from them. Because even when they're the ones mucking up, you're the ones that have to pay for it. That's why, as I said, that's why the Bible said, blessed are the meek. Bless those who are weaker than you. Bless those who are poor. If someone asks for your hat, you give them your cloak as well. Blah, 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 blah. Etc., 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 etc. Take care of the poor. Take care of the weak. Because God knew that the system was out of balance massively in favor of the rich. And at that point, you had the rich and you had the poor. And the rich would always subjugate the poor. A rich person only had to make an accusation against a poor person that poor person's life was ended. A poor person makes an accusation against a rich person, most likely that poor person's life is ended. Right? That's the way it was. The way it is isn't much better. Not much better at all. But that's why we, who are children of God, are supposed to bless the poor. That's why I said, as Christians, it's not easy speaking to those people that are rich and powerful because of the fact that they have what they consider to be everything. They have the world. So like you have in Scripture, that where the devil says to Yeshua, I will give you everything you can see if you just bow down to me. You say it to these people and they say, well, we've got that already. We already have that. Everything I see is basically mine anyway. So you can't offer me anything that I don't already have. Because they do have it. It's theirs. At least according to the world system, it says. Now, God can take all that money from them. Can. Hasn't done so far, but he can. And so, we will see what happens with regards to all these situations, I suppose. Oh, well. All fun and games. There you go. That'll do for now. I'll say a little bit more upon the worthlessnessism and a bit about that tough boss situation. We'll call it the toughest decisions. No, I do. Right, you take care. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.